In this video tutorial for Shape version 5, we are going to show how to use the Hydrodynamics module for fast interactive previewing of density distributions and other functions. Usually we prepare our object in the 3D module based on meshes, as we have done in this case, where we have a bipolar nebula, a shell, and a equatorial torus around the waist of the bipolar. Now, usually the procedure is to set up density, distributions, velocity for each object, and then render in the render module to see whether the result is alright or obtain other images. And often it is important to inspect what this 3D structure is interactively, which cannot be easily done in the render module. Now, we are using the functionality of the Hydrodynamics module for fast preview. Now, to do that, usually if we set up our density, click on the preview button, which allows to communicate with the 3D module, nothing happens. Now, to do that, to obtain an image in the Hydro module, we actually have to tell our 3D module that we are doing a hydrodynamics object, or we are making a hydro object. For that, we're going to select every object and add a hydro modifier, and select the initialize option. Now, if we now try to preview this, it initializes, but nothing shows. We actually do need a dummy object first, which we create as a sphere, for example. It doesn't matter what object, it can be very small. Actually, we should make it very small, so it doesn't even show. And maybe in the general tab, set the rendering for that object to null, so it never shows up in any renders. And just in case, we set the density to 0. And we can delete the temperature. Now, if you now try to preview this, nothing happens either. That is because I have forgotten to add our hydro modifier. This time we're going to leave it in background mode. Now, going back to the hydro module, click on preview. So initializing. Now we have our preview of the density distribution. And now we can, with the mouse, drag our object around and have a very quick interactive preview function. We can edit this image slightly to improve visual visibility. For example, that apply, right? And we can add different types of, or look at different types of observation. For example, the speed. We can see that the speed value increases from the center outwards, as it should. And we can apply different kinds of filters to improve the visualization. For example, we can impose density limits. Not sure what would be a nice value. Say minimum densities, refresh. It's not enough. But we have to assign that filter first. In the filter tab, we add this filter. And then refresh. Now we have our limited area. We only see regions with increased density above 1. Similarly, we can use a spatial filter, for example, position, and have cut out a slice in the middle, say between -5 and +5. Again, add that filter. Refresh, and now we have only this section. Now if we disable the density filter for a moment, refresh, we have only the central slice, which is often useful for evaluation of the shapes or how the density distribution is actually as a function of position. Right, if we want to see only the object without one particular object, say for example disable the torus, we can just disable the hydro part, the hydro modifier, refresh or then preview again, and our torus disappears. Okay, now for example it might be useful to look at the velocity, speed, right? Maybe change the setting of the normalization back to 255. So you can see that the speed increases linearly as expected. Okay, then for a quick preview of this interactive pre-visualization of densities, note that the speed or the continuity of this interactivity depends strongly on your computer, how many cores it has. The more cores and the more memory, this will work at high resolutions. If it is too choppy, you can modify, reduce the density, the resolution of the grid in the general tab. So you go back to 80 on a smaller computer, then this will be more interactive. Or if you go too high, like in this case, if I go up to 200, we do the preview, it will become slightly choppy on this computer. Still running preview, initializing the preview. Takes a little longer because of the higher grid. More detailed grid. Now it's done. And now it still works, but you can already see that there's a reduction of the performance. So the gist of it is that you create your objects and add these hydro modifiers with the initialize option, and a dummy object that has a hydro modifier in the background option. And then go to the Hydro module, click on preview, and your object will appear. Thank you.